All right, let's go over these properties of equality. You can read them on your own, but let's work through some examples. So for the addition property, and we've done a lot of this already, if you want to solve this -7 equals b minus 3, our addition property says that we can add something to both sides and it will still be equal. So if we want to get b by itself, we're going to add 3. So -7 plus 3 equals b minus 3 plus 3. And our addition property tells us that this is still true. So if we simplify it, we get -4 equals b. -3 plus 3 cancels out, so we've solved for b. Now if we do the same thing over here with our m minus 8 equals -14, we're going to add 8 to both sides. Our 8's cancel out there, and we get m equals -6. Our subtraction property is the same thing, but this time it tells us that if we subtract something from both sides of an equation that we know is true, then our new equation is still true. So this time we're going to subtract 13 from both sides of the equation, and we get our 13's cancel out. So we have x equals 27 minus 13 is 14. If we do it over here, this time we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. We get y equals -8. So our multiplication property and division property, same as the addition and subtraction properties, but this time we're multiplying and dividing. So with our multiplication property here, we have x over 4 equals -9. And we want to get that x by itself, so we're going to multiply it by 4. But that means we need to multiply the other side by 4 also. So these will cancel out, and you get x equals, and we have -9 times 4 is -36. And over here, we're going to multiply both sides by 3. We get 19 times 3 is 57 equals, our 3's cancel out, leave it r. I don't know why it's going kind of squiggly. Sorry about that, but it is. For our division, this one we have 4x equals 64. If we write 4x divided by 4 equals 64 divided by 4, we can simplify it by getting x equals 16. And over here, we're going to divide both sides by 15. Our division property tells us that as long as we're just dividing both sides by the same amount, then our equation is still equal. So if we work that out, we get x equals 10 over 15, or simplified to 2/3. So if we flip to the back of our page, now we're looking at reciprocals. A reciprocal is a number that when you multiply it, a reciprocal of a number is the number that when you multiply it, you get 1. So whenever you have a fraction in front of a variable, just use the reciprocal. It's basically like doing 2 steps in one. Instead of multiplying and dividing, this just saves some time. So with fractions, the reciprocal is just flip the fraction. So multiply both sides by 5/4, because that's the reciprocal of 4/5. Those are going to cancel out and give you 1. 1 times m is just m. And then 28 times 5/4. What I do first is I figure out 1/4 of 28, which is 7, and then multiply by 5 to give you 35. I'm going to do the same thing here with 12 equals 3/4 x. The reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. I have to multiply on both sides. So I get x over here. And then on my left side, for 4/3 of 12, I divide by 3 first and figure out that 1/3 is 4. And then I multiply that by 4, and I get 16. You can also use your calculator, it's up to you. So if we're solving a two-step equation, make sure that we're doing the order of operations backwards. So you're isolating the variable this time. So instead of PEMDAS, we can use SADMEP, SADMEP. But I think it will come pretty intuitively to you. So with our first one, we were going to add 3 to both sides first. We get 8 equals t over 2. Now to get t all by itself, we're going to multiply by 2. And our multiplication property of equality tells us that we have to do it on both sides. So we get 16 equals t. And for our last one here, before we move on to proofs, which I will put into a separate video, we're going to multiply first before we do that addition, because really this is like saying the quantity x minus 2 divided by 4. So that's in parentheses, which is the very last thing that we take care of. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply both sides by 4. Gives us 24 on this side, and it's going to get rid of our denominator on the right side, so we have x minus 2. Now to get x by itself, we're just going to add 2 to both sides, and we get 26 equals x. And for the proofs, I'm going to make that a separate video because it's a little bit more difficult and you might want to come back to it on its own. So stay tuned.